Hi, this is Jordan Ramirez, and you are watching slash listening a brand new episode of Film Talk with Jordan Ramirez. And today is a special episode for us today because we have the star of an upcoming movie called Marriage Bites. Please welcome Lance Weller. It's good to see you, Lance.
Great to see you, Jordan. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking. Um, I got a message from Ashley on my previous podcast episode that she was working on this horror comedy and that it's supposed to be really funny. And I was in a chat grab with you and another actor. I think it was Jay Spencer involved in the movie as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yes.
it's it's gonna be a good one for sure.
Yeah. So before we get into the movie, tell us a little bit about your background, like what got you into acting and also what got you into filmmaking.
Probably it was in about the eighth grade in my English class. We had to write a paper, and so I wrote this thing. It was like a four that
Sorry,
took place at a
you
casino.
were frozen a little bit, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
no.
Yeah, it was a little like a crime thriller thing that I did that I wrote for an English paper in the eighth
Hmm.
grade. Um, and My teacher handed it back to me. I'd gotten a great score on it, and she said, I see that you're great with storytelling, Lance. You really might need to pursue that. So that kind of started the gears turning, and then my grandfather was in a movie from 1980, 83, I believe it was. It's called Gator Bait Part
Oh,
Two, Cajun Justice.
okay.
So he played the town pastor in that. My dad would tell me about it when I was a kid, but I didn't really believe him until I actually watched it and saw my grandpa on screen.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, if my grandpa can do it, maybe I can pursue this and do that as well. And then I got the flame for it, and the desire was there, and I just kept working at it, and it I guess the rest you could say is history.
Oh, that's actually pretty sweet. And is that movie available to watch, or is it like a hard to find movie?
It is a super hard to find movie. You might be able to find it at like movie conventions. Some of the vendors there at conventions, they'll have those obscure movies on DVD and things like that. Um, but yeah, I think maybe like Shout Factory or one of those people probably need to purchase the rights or whatever and do a re-release of it. I think because there's Gatorbait One, which is good, and then
Mm-hmm.
Gatorbait Part Two, so that'd be a good little double feature if they were to do like a re-release on that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I like what Shout Factory does. They always bring up like films that are very obscure, films that critics would say are bad, but audiences would say, no, we actually like them. They're very good. They're very good
Oh
entertainment.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Gator Bait movies are definitely like exploitation type movies, like
Mm.
the stuff from the 70s and the 80s. So it's neat to see that with.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so could you tell us a little bit about the story of this upcoming production?
Sure. In Marriage Bites, there's a married couple, Martin and Linda.
Mm-hmm.
Their marriage has become kind of stale, going through the motions. And one night, Martin gets bit by a vampire, and that kind of throws him into a state of panic. Comedy ensues. It is a horror comedy,
Yeah.
and so it's Martin and Linda trying to figure out what's real with vampires, what's not real with vampires. They're getting feedback on the internet for like conspiracy theory videos, I guess you could
Mm.
say, on what the terms are with vampires or whatever. Some things are real, some things are not. It'll be pretty funny to see that. But
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. So what attracted you to this project?
I first worked with Ashley on Skate to Hell
Oh,
with from director Sean Phillips,
okay.
and we after we did our shoot together on that, we started talking and talking, and she had mentioned that she had Marriage Bites she was working on, and I said that plot premise actually sounds pretty cool. I said, maybe we can work on something and I can help out on that.
Hmm.
And then from there, my role with Bill, that's my character in the film, Bill.
Hmm.
That's how it came to be with that. So
Hmm.
it's going to be pretty nice. We start filming, I believe it is in November.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah.
November.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I know that Ashley talked about when I last interviewed her on my podcast. She likes horror movies and she got a chance to interview some really nice people whom she got to meet on the podcast, on her podcast, for sure. Did you ever think that you would work on something like this beforehand, or were you thinking to yourself, I worked on something like similar to this project on maybe on my previous filming shoots?
Well, I'll start from the beginning. The funny thing about that is, when I was in high school, after, my eighth grade teacher had told me about the filmmaking and stuff, I would make videos and skits and fake trailers and stuff like that with my friends in high school.
Mm,
And it was fun doing that and whatnot. And then years later, when I started doing the I guess you could say the bigger studio films, like
mm.
I did the Parish TV show that just came out with for AMC.
Oh wow.
Um, I did a couple of things for Netflix, and but productions like that, the sets are pretty how you could say, it's got to be by the book. It's, you got to be in line and do this and that and whatnot. So it was fun, but I was kind of missing that factor that I used to have back in the day with my
Mm,
friends making the independent type stuff.
yeah.
And then my friend had mentioned Sean Phillips, and they had Skate to Hell coming out, and they were going
Hmm.
to start filming it and whatnot. And I spoke with Sean on multiple occasions and whatnot, and I got to read the script, and I was like, this actually kind of feels like what we used to do back in the day in high school. I said, maybe I can jump back into that and do that again and get that feeling again to do the indie films and stuff. And from there, I love it. The sets were not not stressful. I mean, it was kind of like working with a little family. It was nice.
Yeah, I imagine it must be because she did mention that she also has another film coming up that I think it's already out. She did a film called Caroline of Mine. I haven't seen it, but she did say it's a really wonderful film to be a part of. And also, you and excuse me, Ashley had shared some articles that promoting this movie, and I thought that's really awesome that you guys are getting the word
Oh,
out there about this,
yeah.
yeah, about this upcoming film and what to expect. And she did mention, or maybe somebody else mentioned, that there's going to be a lot of puns, and there's going to be a lot of corny humor in this film, but it's fun to watch it. And I know, and you said production doesn't start until this November, so yeah,
Correct.
cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just recently locked in some locations that are going to be pretty cool for shooting. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be nice.
Yeah. I think it will be nice. So I don't want to get too much into like the specific technical details, like when the movie is going to be released or if there's going to be production deals, because I would say I would rather wait until the after, after the production has finished and what the next steps are.
Mhm.
But yeah, so and I read on Facebook, I think from the Marriage Bites fan page, that you got some new actors that are coming to be part of the this production and the director as well. So who is
Yeah,
the yeah? So do you know who
we
the
I know we recently got Zachary Vasquez, I believe his name is Vasquez. He's done things in the past. He was on Skate to Hell.
okay.
I believe he was in the new Baywatch film that
Mm,
came out a few years back.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's done a few things. He's got a pretty good resume there. And then Robert, he worked on, I think he, I think he worked on Desert Fiends with Sean Phillips.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
Robert Robert Lasardo, I believe his name is. But yeah, so those are the newest additions to the cast that we've gotten. We also have a guy that I worked with on Skate to Hell, and I talked with Ashley and got him to come on board as well. Is Nicholas Cage Haynes. He's a pretty cool dude. I did my
Mm.
scene with him in Skate to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Joe Camara. He's really great.
Mm.
He's got a great resume as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then of course Darren Ewing is also going to be in it as well.
Mm.
Um, so he's from Troll 2. So that's going to be
Troll.
fun.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Wait, who was he in Troll 2?
He was the one, he's the dude, the kind of the nerdy guy that had the glasses that turned into the plant and he was screaming, "Oh my God!" Like
Oh, that's
being the
awesome.
film.
I didn't expect him to be now in your production. That's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am very excited that you guys are able to get such a handful of great actors and direct and especially director. So yeah, so is this gonna be so where is this film gonna be shot on location wise?
It's going to be shot in different locations in Alabama, which
Okay.
that's great. That's great for me because I'm located in Louisiana. So that's just a hop, skip, and a jump instead of having to go to Vegas and LA to film stuff. So that's pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
We're going to be filming in, so there will be main event. We're going to do a big scene there, a big arcade scene that's going to
Mm.
be really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then we are going to be filming at two movie studios from Alabama.
Mm.
I'm the names of them are escaping me, but one that they filmed The Walking Dead in.
Oh
So
wow.
there's a cemetery set that we're going to be using that was from The Walking Dead, and then also a morgue scene that we're using a morgue set from The Walking Dead. So that's cool.
Mm.
Um, I think one of the studios' names is Thunderdome Studios, I believe it is.
Okay.
But yeah, so it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, it does sound pretty cool. And I know that my sister's a fan of The Walking Dead and also some shows on AMC. So you mentioned the show Parish. So I don't think I've seen it. So were you in like any guest starring roles in the on the show, or what role did you
Uh,
have?
yeah, it was a split second scene. It was like these flashbacks that Giancarlo Esposito's character was having about one of his family members had passed away, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like a crime scene that I was a part of on that. I was like he was crying, holding the individual or whatever, and I'm like right there. You could see next to the detectives and stuff like that. So not really a speaking role, but it was nice to be able to work with Giancarlo Esposito and watch him. It was wild because he'd start crying and getting
Mm.
all emotional.
Emotional, yeah.
It would take him about like a minute or two to like come down from that.
Mhm.
So he would like just sit on a curb and he's just like, doing breathing exercises and whatnot to come down from that. So that was pretty cool to see a veteran actor like that do their magic.
Wow. Did you get a chance to like talk with him during the filming of that show?
I did get to shake his hand. I didn't really get to talk with him too much.
Okay.
We were shooting a night scene, so it was kind of we were kind of on a tight schedule on
Oh.
that scene there. And then also, this is a fun little fact. They had a some train tracks that were going through. We were like in a little neighborhood in New Orleans, and
Mm-hmm.
about two or three times a train came through, and we had to halt production for a good 15, 20 minutes to
Wow.
let the train go by. So that was pretty funny. But
Yes. Uh,
I know the crew was not happy about that, but
mm.
it is what it is. It adds to the authenticity.
Yes, it is, I imagine. But is Parish available to stream like on so where can we
Yeah,
find the show to
you
stream it?
can find Parish on for sure AMC Plus,
Okay.
and then also I think you might be able to watch it on Hulu as well. I think
Okay.
that one of the two options there.
Okay. And is it on the air still, or did it finish did it wrap
Uh, it
up?
it finished. I think the last episode aired about maybe a month or two ago, so it
Okay.
should be yeah, it should be completely on there, and maybe eventually Netflix will take it and put it on there on their
Yeah.
platform as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, so far AMC Plus would probably be your best bet for that.
Okay. That's good to hear. And it's and I'm actually happy that you got to work on a show like that. And you also mentioned you did a couple things for Netflix. Were they like big shows or small shows? What type of
Yeah.
shows?
Uh, the first one I did was called Carry On.
Okay.
It's a movie for Netflix. It it's about a TSA agent who gets this call from this mysterious stranger or whatever,
Hmm.
and he tells the TSA agent, who is Taron Egerton, the guy that played Elton John in Rocket Man.
Yes,
Um,
I saw that movie. I liked it.
oh yeah. So the mysterious character who is I mean, I guess they announced it, so it'll be fine. Is Jason Bateman,
Oh wow.
and yeah, he's wanting to get this package on this plane. It's at Christmas time, and it's actually a bomb. So Jason Bateman's trying to blow up the plane on Christmas, and
Hmm.
Taron Egerton is running through the airport trying to make sure that that package does not get on the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's wild. I can't think of the actor's name. He was Juice in Sons of Anarchy. He's in the movie as well.
Is he younger or an older actor?
I'd say he was younger. He had a shaved head. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot his name.
No.
But yeah,
Okay.
he played Juice on Sons of Anarchy.
Okay. Yeah, so great. So it's still available to watch on Netflix?
They haven't released it yet. They're doing some reshoot stuff on it.
Okay.
But if I had to guess, being it's a Christmas film, it's probably going to release this around this Christmas time, this holiday season. But
Mm.
we'll wait and see on that. But I'm
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking.
okay. It's great that you got to share with us some of these projects that you worked on. And I know I haven't watched Sons of Anarchy, and I know that the show came on, I think, when I was in high school going to college. But yeah, it sounds like it must have been a really good show. I don't know if
Yeah,
you yeah.
it was a good show. I like yourself. I had never watched it. About 2 years ago, my wife was like, "We're going to sit down and watch it,"
Hmm.
and I'm glad we did. It was a really great show. I like Ron Perlman. He did a great job in the
Hmm.
show, so it was really good. And Katie Seagal from Married with Children, she's in it as well, and
Hmm.
they
That's
did a
good.
really good job. I like that.
Yeah. Is it available to get like on DVD and Blu-ray, the Sons of Anarchy television series?
Correct. It is. It's kind of odd with how physical media is going right now. A
Hmm.
lot of places are pulling stuff, but yeah, you might be able to find it in the TV section at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely know you can find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say it is streaming on Netflix.
I okay, that's cool with me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sort of a believer in trying to preserve physical media as well because I know that when we rely on streaming, we always wait until we see when
So
yeah, we always wait until the next time we get to see your favorite movie or TV show is back on the streaming platform. And
mhm.
I don't know, I always find that with physical media, you don't need to wait. You could just hold on to it for as long as you can without having
Yeah,
to wait for, whatever goes on with the streaming company or the
right.
company that owns the rights to this show or movie or whatever.
That that's the one downside to streaming platforms is
Yeah.
say you'll search for say Sons of Anarchy and there'll be a tab that says, "Oh, you're looking for Sons of Anarchy," and you click it, and then oh, you have no search results. So it's like they
Hmm.
pull the shows and movies, and I don't like that. It's nice to have it and know that it's going to be there,
Mm.
when you're
Yeah.
wanting to watch it.
Yeah, it is absolutely. So yeah, so since we have talked about Sans the shows that you were the show that you were on and the movie that you were a part of for Netflix, so in terms of what's going on in like the industry, do you have any upcoming projects that you are looking towards, like maybe any projects that after this film is complete, or what's like the future projects that's going on right now?
But before we film Marriage Bites, I will be a part of Clown Motel 3.
Okay.
That's the third film from director Joseph Kelly.
Mm.
That's going to be pretty cool. I'm gonna get to play a cowboy in that scene,
Ooh.
and kill a couple of killer clowns come around, and me and my comrades are sitting around a campfire. So it's going to be
Mm.
this great massive fight scene between us and the killer clowns on that. So that's going to be really fun. I'm excited to work on that.
Mm.
Uh, Joseph Castro is our special effects artist on that film, and he's done amazing
Mm.
work. So
Mm.
I'm excited to see what he pulls off with that.
Mm.
Um, and then I haven't been booked on anything yet for it, but actually a guy in my hometown, he uh, he just signed a massive deal with Lifetime Network and
Mm.
Hallmark Channel. So they're going to be filming a lot of their movies down here
Mm.
in Louisiana,
Wow.
which actually back in 2021, I
Mm.
worked on My Southern Family Christmas for the Hallmark Channel,
Mm.
and I got to work with Bruce Campbell on that, which that was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So did you get to like talk with Bruce Campbell, or how was the
I did.
relationship? Yeah, so
I did. There, and we would sit in holding, and he would. It was cool just watching Bruce Campbell reading his lines in between the takes and stuff like
awesome.
that. And
Mm.
um, he there was a scene where they needed to get front shots of us in the crowd, and they're like, Bruce, that we don't need you, Bruce. It's fine. We just need the shot of the crowd. And he's like, nope, I want to read it. So
Oh.
he came in and read it and did it and whatnot. So he goes above and beyond. So I really was happy to say that I worked with Bruce Campbell on that.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I got to talk to somebody who met with. I always thought of like character actors as, like people would say character actors work on like low budget films or big budget films. I mean, to me, I always think of the only A-list actors, in my opinion, are usually character actors or actors who work on like small pictures that make really great roles, in my opinion.
For sure,
Um,
something that withstands the test of time.
yes.
Generation still getting into it and loving the character that they portray.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I've seen Bruce Campbell in a few movies that I enjoyed, and I thought was he also a funny guy to talk with when you were filming?
Yeah, how he is in his movies, he definitely his persona is a little bit embedded in that as well. So
Hmm.
that was funny. He was making jokes, cutting up with the crew and whatnot, and he would tell stories about him being back home in Michigan, and stuff like that. So it was cool to hear those insights while on set.
Yeah, I imagine. So now that we have talked about some of your upcoming projects, I also read on the email that you had directed or written a movie that you had done, or was am I misreading that there?
I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, no, no. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so I read on your email that you had directed or written a film or TV movie that you had done. So, could you give us a little bit of detail about this project that you worked on?
There's something that I'm writing right now. We haven't filmed anything for it yet, but it's it's titled "The Girl That Got Away,"
Okay.
and it's a story about this girl, and this home intruder comes in and kills her mother, her father, and her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then the film kind of jumps about 10 years later and shows like how she's been living life and whatnot. She lives with her aunt and uncle, and it's actually the 10-year anniversary of the murders.
Mm.
And I don't want to get in too many details to
No,
it,
no.
but
Yeah.
the uh, the guy who was never caught, he does come back for the girl that got away.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Mm.
I talked with an actress that I didn't get to do scenes with her on Skate to Hell, but I got to see like on her dailies and things like that behind the scenes of how she acted and everything she did. Her name is Elizabeth Chamberlain. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of eyeing her to be in that role of that girl
Mm.
for the movie.
Wow, that's amazing. So I mean, we've talked about, upcoming product projects coming up. We've talked about some of your work. So I mean, back to some of the works that you mentioned and also Marriage Bites. I mean, when I usually think of horror comedies, I remembered something from Jordan Peele. He was in an interview for AMC's History of Horror with Eli Roth. He said that horror and comedy are almost bred from the same DNA. It's almost like you can it has the ability to shock people, but it could also satirize real life situations, but it's masked in sort of like it's masked in a sort of fantasy or a metaphorical way. It's not overt, it's very subliminal and it's like very subtle, which I think is which I think he's right on that because I might not have noticed it, but I would say he's right.
Hmm. Like with the movies that he's come out with, Get Out and Us, and even Nope.
Yes.
There's little jokes within the movie, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still a horror movie. But
Yes.
there is humor within the horror, which I agree with what you just said, that it is a little one and the same on that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's taking like something that is topical, but instead of like trying to do it like a message picture would, it's very under the radar. It's very hidden. You don't notice it until maybe you get a little bit into the story. And I think he's right on that because uh, when one thinks of horror, they always think it's a straightforward, like serious genre. I would say I disagree because there are moments in a horror movie where they just breathe in a little room for humor, like something that's meant to be humorous, or just like a little joke, or maybe a darkly humorous joke inside the movie. I think that's what people are maybe misunderstanding about the horror genre in general.
Correct. Like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very horrific, the events of the film and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the family interacts with themselves, the humor within that is just like, I,
Yeah.
it's, you want to laugh, but then again, you want to be fearful for these characters, but it's hard not to laugh at these maniacs, just
Yeah.
butting heads and, yelling at each other. You broke.
Mm.
It's funny.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that you can do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, before I used to not be a fan of horror movies, but then as I started to understand that, some directors, when they make horror movies, they say it's fun. It's basically you get to pretend to, be the bad guy. You get to pretend that you're doing these horrific scenes, but it's all just pretend. It's basically it's all the actors are saying we're okay, we're all right.
Mhm.
We're and some would say, okay, some of the scenes are a little bit comical when you watch them nowadays. Whenever you see, I would give an example like the slasher films, you would always see, and I remember I talked this over with Ashley. Whenever you see the slasher movies, you would always root for the killer in those movies, and you would never and you would always try to go against the characters who always did the bad stuff in those types
Mhm.
of pictures, and that's like the humorous moments, I guess.
Some of the victims in some of those slasher films are kind of obnoxious, so you're kind of rooting for them, so it is for sure interesting on that aspect.
Mm,
But yeah, yeah. I Even though I'm such a big horror person now, probably about at the age 13, I started really watching horror movies and whatnot. Freddy
mm-hmm,
versus Jason was the first horror
mm,
film I watched in theaters.
mm-hmm.
Um, that was amazing to see. It was like a wrestling movie, but with horror characters. It was wild. But yeah, like you said, I wasn't always a fan of horror. When I was probably Outer Space, and it absolutely scared me to death of clowns.
Oh, sorry.
So,
You were
oh
cut off
yeah,
a little bit. Could you say that again?
for sure. Yeah, when I was about 3 or 4, my dad was watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it
Mm-hmm.
completely put a fear of clowns into me. I was
Mm.
deathly afraid of clowns. Luckily, my dad helped me break that fear. But yeah, it was the start off with horror. Some people say when they were younger they loved horror, but yeah, no, it scared me.
Yeah. Besides Bruce Campbell, did you get to work with any of the movies that with the actors who were in other horror franchises?
Let's see. Hmm. Let me see. There was Bruce Campbell in that, and then in Skate to Hell, I did do a scene with Eileen Dietz. She played the demon in the Exorcist film, the
Okay.
original Exorcist film.
Okay.
Uh, Other than that, no, I think he was really the only main horror character actor that I've worked with. I would
Mm,
like to work with Kane Hodder. That
okay.
would always be a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would also really like to work with David Howard Thornton,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that plays Art the Clown. That would definitely be something cool.
Mm-hmm.
There was a project that he was working on that I tried to get in on, but I was a little late to the party on that, so
Mm.
I missed out on that opportunity. But there'll probably be another opportunity. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, I do love horror. Just CJ Graham, like all the Jasons and all that. It'd be cool to play with, one of those actors. Um, I actually was in Skate to Hell. Brett Wagner, the guy that played Leatherface in the 2003
Oh.
remake,
Oh, okay.
he was in it in the 2003 remake for a couple of scenes, and then he had a heat stroke. But because they were working in that huge house and there was no AC and stuff like that in there.
Wow.
But I didn't do any scenes with him, but he did send gifts to me, which I thought was pretty cool for him as
Oh,
a
wow.
yeah as a keepsake of knowing that we worked on Skate to Hell together.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
pretty cool that he had sent that over to me.
Oh,
Brett's a really great guy. I've been to a couple conventions that he's been at, and we've talked and whatnot, and he's a really really cool dude.
yeah. It's amazing. Um, I do remember seeing Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the one you mentioned, and I think I did see an interview with the guys who made the film, the Kyoto brothers.
Mhm.
Really talented, really great special effects that they made, old school special effects. Um, so before we wrap things up, I may have one or a few more questions. So, do
Sure.
you, okay, so when you watch horror movies made today, what are your thoughts on the horror movies of today versus, let's say, 10, 15, 20 or so years ago?
I would say horror movies of today. I don't want to sound negative about it or whatnot, but I'd say a lot of horror movies today are more art house, I guess you could call them. They're
Oh,
a little bit more thought provoking, a little more.
hmm.
They they have
No,
a
sorry,
good.
you were cut off.
Oh,
It's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. It's my internet.
Oh,
So could you
I
say it
got
one more
you.
time?
Yes, you got films like Hereditary, Midsummer, the Jordan Peele films. They have a good message, that causes you to think about the movie and things like that. Um, the movies back in the past, it'd be like the slash 'em ups and whatnot. I mean, you do have those today, like
Mm-hmm.
with the Terrifier films and stuff like that. But I think people are leaning more towards the art house film type stuff, like Talk to Me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you've seen that one. That's the
I've
one
oh
with the
the
hand.
Yeah, I thought that the movie was like a remake of the short story The Monkey's Paws, what I originally thought it
Mm,
was.
yes, yeah. Yeah, that does seem like that. The I can't think of the name. The YouTubers from the Raka Raka channel. I'd been watching them for years,
Mm-hmm.
about a decade, and they you always could tell that they were wanting to do something special. All their videos were like you could tell that they put their heart into it, and it was really neat to see that they actually were able to make a a nationwide film that people could see and stuff like that. It's pretty
Wow.
cool.
Mm. Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, I think I did see a couple of the movies from the art house scene. But sometimes I not too much a fan of like grisly horror. I mean, if it's a little bit realistic, I'm like, I cannot watch this. I'm one of those people that does this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. For some reason, I do love special effects. Tom Savini. I don't know what it is about the special. I guess it's the creative aspect of it that you're making something that's not real, but it looks convincing enough
Mm,
to where you're like, oh my God, like something where fingernails are getting pulled off and
yeah, I
cringe, but you're like, wow, I really have to commend them on making me cringe like that. Like that's really, really cool.
yeah.
But on the flip side of that coin, stuff like Alfred Hitchcock and stuff like that, where it's
Mm-hmm.
subdued and they don't really use much blood and stuff like that, where it's all just suspense and whatnot. I mean that works just as well. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, there was really no blood in that,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, I mean there was a little bit of blood, but not gore like your Friday the 13th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was all like off camera, and it's what your mind creates. The image that your brain creates in your mind.
Mm.
So they both have their pros and cons, for sure. I guess it's really to personal taste, but I mean, I enjoy them both for sure.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
different reasons.
So, all right. So we're running out of time right now. We got like almost a minute left. So before we wrap up, do you think you could make like a quick reminder of this film and maybe where they can find your work? My audience can find your work.
Sure. So we have Marriage Bites that's coming up. Clown Motel 3 is going to be coming out as well, and you can find those on Indiegogo. You can help out with those actually. Donations and things like that. You can get different perks and things like that, like help the crew be fed, catered, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which that's nice that they have that now because back in high
Yeah.
school, we didn't have that privilege when we were making films.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I hate to stop you right there, but we're
Yeah,
almost out of time.
okay,
But I hope that the movie is great and that I hope that maybe we'll meet again once the movie's over.
for sure, Jordan. I really appreciate you taking your time out today.
Okay, thank you so much.
All
And
right,
this
y'all
is
have a great one.
You too. Jordan Ramirez signing off. And until then, I'll see you at the movies and I hope we meet each other soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a great one.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.